So here's a story written by men, a story that men do not like. Let's go. What's going on, my skin post? Welcome to the channel. Go ahead and like, subscribe, show love, get the word out. Let's get the word out. Show love. Now let's talk about it. Men have been easygoing for a long time. They were comfortable for their story to be told and written by other people as long as it was in keeping with what was fair. Now there was no agreement, but there was just this sense of social contract. Like we agree, you're going to do the right thing by me if I do the right thing by you. And for the most part, men were agreeable as far as I'll produce, I'll protect, I will die, I'll go to war, I will take care of the children because we agree that the narrative you're going to put out there is reflective of the truth of who I am. And men believe that. And of course, for this to work, for this story to work, men also had to be manipulated, yes, uh, duped into believing that women were a certain thing. Okay? Women were this dainty thing, these harmless creatures were nurturing and so forth. Now, this is not a hate video about women. It's not. But this is more understanding the construct that we are in right now and to speak on it in a real sense. So, men had to be told that if you want a woman, buy her flowers, text her, say nice things to her, open doors, do these things for her. That's how you get that woman. And this woman, in return, she's going to respect you, give you praise and adoration, and you're going to work with such vigor for her and the seed that you produce, and you're going to have a good life. That's a story that was told. Now, the advent of the internet is one thing, but the advent of social media is another, which has expressed to us explicitly from the dragon's mouth. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. From a woman's mouth that say they don't like guys who are nice. They think guys are corny, who are nice, who are friendly, who open doors. Those guys are losers. So then the ones who are just nonchalant, don't care, no bothered, the ones that men will consider rejects in their circle. Like if I was a man, I had some friends. Those guys, which we men will consider, nah, he's just Bill is reckless. Bill is reckless. It's just crazy. Those are the ones that women love by the majority. Now, of course, there's a few women here who have the right mind in them, and that's not what I'm talking to. But most men know what I'm talking about here. The ones that are reckless, the future type guys, Chris Brown's, okay, he's 40 some, unmarried, baby children. Chris Brown, Future's worse. The Nick Cannons, and the story goes, the badder they are, the more they're loved and desired. So the story that was told about men, and men reject that story. Says, hey, you sold us a lie on this story. I'm nice. I take care of her. I call her. I text her good morning. That ish don't work. It don't work. What works is if leave her on red, don't call her back. I have multiple baby children. That's what works. Now, not every man is capable of deducing himself to a low level. So they see that the society is leaning towards that destructive behavior. So the good men then say, hey, I cannot be a part of this pool, this infestation, this diseased situation. And then the females that deal with such men, after the men are done with them, because that's what they were going to do, they're like, men are trash. Men are this, men are that. And you're like, how in my word can I be called this bad, derogatory terms when I know I've been good all my life? So the story being written about men is trash because it's not reflective of the average man. It's this isolated guy, football player type of guys, basketball player type of guys, musician type of guys. They're the ones. And how many are those in relation to communities of men? Very, very few. So in real life, what's being written about men is not true. So therefore, the men have gone their own way. mgtow, manosphere. Now, when we like say manosphere is dead, yeah, let it die. Let it die. Let the manosphere die. Let the red pill die. Let the passport bros die. Let them not succeed as far as a tagline. But let them do their work in silence. When the taglines I did, when the manosphere, like the taglines and the positioning is there, but men are doing this because of story, they're seeing it for themselves, what women really like, what women are really about. Until the day comes, it's not today, it's not tomorrow, it's not next week, when there's a genuine appreciation for the labor that man produces, because time is life. If I give 8 hours of my time, that's 8 hours of my life being given over to an organization. I want more if you give that to a woman in this modern day times, and she takes you to the cleaners like she's been taught to do by sprinkle and anybody that represents that. Or you encounter somebody that represents a Cynthia G type of woman, toxicity to the maximum. So now when you look at that story, you reject that story and you're like, no, thank you. What's wrong with me going to work and coming back to my own space where I don't get my resources taken advantage of? What's wrong with me not bumping into somebody and being called a creep? I'd rather be at peace. Now, the more they do that, the more the card that's been given to the opposite sex is to shame them. You're not a real man. That's not gonna work because that story is old now. Men have seen the story for what it is and they don't like it, and they're gonna write their own story. And that's the problem with male podcasts. And even if they're not telling that, even if the manosphere is gonna be, obsolete, so to speak, or mgtow, you can ban it, but the ideology is planted. Men know that there's something wrong. When females are going to food, they're going to eat with men for just to go to eat who they don't like. When they go on dates, use them. When they just marry somebody as a starter husband, I pray all men will wake up and take on a different stance to this thing, because your life is worth as a man. You're not valued in society. You're valuable, but you're not valued. You're valuable in the fact that if you work as a garbage collector, if you work as a mechanic, if you work as an engineer, if you work as a plumber, as an electrician, the value that you produce is evident. Those guys work in high rises, installing windows. The value is evident, but you're not valued by the opposite sex. You're not even valued by society to some extent. So now let it be. Whatever little taglines, let them die. But it's not going to stop men. Men are woke to the fact that the stories being told about them is not the truth. And this is the part where men are going their own way. It's not because about the movement. It's about the thing. Women, y'all fall in line with, eras. This, we're doing soft girl era and whatever it is. Men, when they've had enough, they're doing that out of that soul. They're acting out of their soul. This is not about where you get to be ashamed to be back in place. That's not what happened. The best thing a woman can do is fall in line in a sincere fashion. Because if that's not the case, it's going to. Women will be like, oh, we don't care. You will see. Because I could see a train. And it's not pretty. Because I'm privy to both the sides. What women are going through, what men are going through. It's just that men are telling the story and men take action. And men see that the ones who are taking advantage of them are the females that they're liking. And I went on this date with this loser. They see that and their position. Men were by efficiency and they position themselves in place now. Like, okay, fine. All right, I've said enough. Peace, love, and blessings.